No, it's going
Ah. Why do you suck? Luna's wondering why they suck too.
Oh, wait. It's working!
It's working!
Hi,
Hey.
everybody. Sorry, that was a real drama trying to get this to start.
It took a few minutes.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, good.
So here we are.
Hello.
Hi.
We're just going to give it some time for people to join us and feel part of this special moment.
Now that we've had a false, wait, we're doing, no, we're not. Yep, we're doing, no, we're not.
We discovered that Live only works on Chrome. Doesn't like Safari or Firefox. And now Chrome doesn't really like it either.
Sigh.
I know. But here we are.
Here we are.
Well, we'll kick off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live, very informal, very informal launch.
Yep.
Of this. Hello. Does youth ministry have a future? This is my new booklet with Grove, which is lovely. It's so nice. You could read this in about an hour. It has 25 and a half pages, and one of those pages is a whole diagram. So you could read this in, maybe 45 minutes, actually, which is lovely. So my name's Tim, and this is...
Katie.
This is Katie. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
It's my wife. Where are you from, Katie?
California.
She's from California. What's something interesting about California that we might not know?
People know everything about California. My parents live there. I love the beaches.
So something you might not know about California is Katie's parents live there.
I don't know.
We're off to a good start. It's nice to do it this way because, usually there'd be poshness and champagne and suits and boots and people, and actually this is our house. We've got tea. And it's lovely. There we go. So what's going to happen is Kate is going to ask me some questions that she's got. And if people interact, then we might try and have some giveaways as well. If not, we'll just run giveaways throughout the whole week in various ways online. Kate has the laptop power, but doesn't stop me nosing. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yep, there we go. All yours. My bad. So, Kate, I tell you what, why don't you ask a question and we'll get started.
Okay. So you've written this Grove booklet thing on youth titled, Does Youth Ministry Have a Future? So, does youth ministry have a future?
Oh, that's brilliant, because that means if I answer this, no one actually has to read the book. You're going to be very helpful for us, aren't you?
Well, it's the obvious question, isn't it?
Does youth ministry have a future? Yes, but no, but yes, but no, but maybe. That is kind of the question of the book. The idea of the conversation in this is to try to tease out whether the way youth ministry is heading right now is healthy or not. If you look at all the numbers in the UK, youth ministry is in decline. There are less youth ministry courses, less people in training, less people applying for jobs, less jobs available. It just looks like the branch is creaking. And so what this is doing is asking us to put the brakes on for a minute and just take stock, take a step back and think, is what we're doing the absolute best that we can do? So it tracks the history of youth work and says, okay, what have we learned? What have we lost? And how do we craft a new future? Because I think God's not done with youth work. I think God's got a future for youth ministry, and the question is, do we know what that is, and are we connecting up with that? So yes, but no, but yes, but no, but maybe.
Read the book.
Read the book.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. How about who should read this book?
Oh, well, it's obviously aimed at youth workers, but it's a bit cheeky, really, because right at the end of the book, I've got 3 open letters. I've got an open letter to a pastor, an open letter to a youth worker, and an open letter to a general church congregation member. And my belief is youth ministry can't get healthily back on track if only one of those three people are pushing for change. You need change to come from three directions. You need the church pastor, the youth worker, and the general church congregation Bob to come together to make it work. So if you're a youth worker, please do read it, but then give it to your pastor. If you're a pastor, please do read it and give it to your youth worker, and then get together and talk about how to have the conversation with your church. I believe youth work is healthiest when it's done by the whole church, not any one Lone Ranger maverick superstar in the corner. So who should read it? Everyone should read it.
Woo. Okay, alright, cool. Can you explain the cover, little outlines of stuff?
Oh yeah, the cover's cool. I said to them, I gave them an idea for the cover and Grove designed it, and they did a great job. There it is.
Ta-da.
Do it this way, it can cover my face with the cover.
Perfect, we'll leave it there.
So it's a set of hiking boots
Can't
and a
see me
compass.
either. That's awesome. Perfect.
You prefer that?
I would.
Yeah. So the camera can't focus back now. It tried to focus on the thing.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
here,
struggling a
camera.
little.
It's fine. You'll figure it out. So this is hiking boots and a compass. I love hiking. I love getting out in the mountains. We live in Wales, and we can see mountains right out of our window. And so it makes sense to me to have something mountain-esque on a cover. But more than that, when you're out hiking, you feel the journey. You need your boots, you need a compass to make sure that you're going in the right direction. The cover's there to say youth work is on a journey. It's not a random cross-section of a collection of projects. It's somewhere we've been and somewhere we're going, and we do need to consult our compass and put our boots on and make sure we're really journeying healthily together. That's quite a nice answer. I was proud of that.
That's good.
That's what
I
the
think
cover
we're
is.
focused again as well.
Ooh, that's nice.
Okay. La 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 la.
Yep.
La la la.
Yep. Tell you what, I keep thinking I want to do some shout-outs because it's great to have my book here, but there's lots of people far smarter than me. And two of my friends of this last few months have released books. First off, I'll point to Andy's. I'll do another one later, but Andy has written a book called Looking Good Naked, and this is all about youth ecclesiology. It's all about the church and young people. So I'm looking this way because our cat is doing something very dodgy. Luna, down.
It's a bad idea.
You can't get up there.
Oh dear.
I'm not.
Okay.
Anyway, do check this out. The Church and Young People. It's a really good read. Andy's done a great job. Looking Good Naked. Anyway, back over to you.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. So, why did you write this booklet?
Sorry, I'm distracted by this little lunatic psycho cat that we
She's
have.
doing crazy things.
She is doing crazy things, and she always waits until we can't move to do them. Sorry, what was the question?
Why did you write this book?
Why did I write this book? I wrote this book just to start a conversation. It's as simple as that. There's lots in youth work that is brilliant, that we do really, 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 really well, but it feels like we might not really know where it is we've come from. Youth work is a little bit of a baby. It's only been around in the form it is for like 50, 60 years. It's really new in the ministry world. It's very young. It's not mature yet. And until we look back and really grasp an understanding of where we've been from, where we've come from, I'm not sure if we'll be able to make the hard choices necessary to really move forward into maturity, to move the movement into maturity. And so I wrote this book to try to start a conversation, and it's perfectly timed because right now we're all in lockdown. It's a great time to put on the brakes, take a step back and go, okay, are we doing everything right? Have we missed out on some things from the past? Have we taken on some unhealthy habits? And how do we move forward?
Somebody's just asked, are those youth ministry statistics to do with lack of money in churches to employ a youth worker?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you very much. Is Dan? Yes, Dan. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely underfunding of youth work in the UK church. I think that's true. Most youth workers still earn less than an entry-level teacher across the UK. The thing is, there's only about 900 to 1,000 full-time youth workers in the UK, and where youth workers do have the money and are hiring someone, they're not having a lot of applicants. So it's a bit of a both and. Yes, there's not a lot of money in it, but I think if we suddenly poured money into youth work, it wouldn't fix the problem. I think we're talking about getting the whole church involved. I mean, bear in mind, most youth work in the UK is run by volunteers. Something like 75% of churches in the UK don't have any youth provision whatsoever, and those that do, most of it is run by volunteers. It would be great to pour more money into youth work, and I would absolutely advocate for that, but I don't think that on its own will fix the problem. It's a great question, though. Thank you very much.
Cool. So why do youth ministers need to learn about the past?
Oh, I mean, this is a cheeky one for me because I'm a bit of a history nut. I love history. In fact, when Kate first met me, I was in London and I was a tour guide for the British Museum going through all the Bible exhibits, and I treated Katie to a tour of all the Assyrian exhibits. And wasn't it brilliant, Kate? Yes.
I learned things, lots of things.
Lots of things, constant waffle for about 4 hours. But no, I love history, and I understand that today's culture is not the culture of even 3 weeks ago, let alone 300 years ago. And so there's an argument to be made that actually it's more important to learn about today's generation and how do we move forward than looking back. But I also believe you can't go forward without going back. I think understanding who we are and where we've been helps us move forward and helps us galvanize an identity which is really healthy. We talk a lot about standing on the shoulders of giants, but if we don't know where those giants are, we ain't going to find their shoulders. So I think it's really important to look back in order to look forward. Not to get so swamped in history that we don't think about the future, but we absolutely should know where we've come from, I think.
Beautiful. All right. The cover says lessons learned and lost from youth ministry, past and present.
I'm helping.
See, wait, you can't read that. The camera's gonna go on this again.
Okay, what's it say?
Anyway.
Lessons learned and lost from youth ministry, past and present.
So what is one thing learned and one thing lost?
Oh, okay. So the way this book is set up is it's 2 chapters on history, a chapter on what we've lost, and a chapter on what we've gained. Other way around, gained, then lost. And then a conclusion, which brings it all together. So chapter 3 looks at a few things throughout the history of youth work that we've really gained as a movement. I'll give you one of those things. One of those things is missional imperative. One of the things I absolutely love about youth workers is they are so unbelievably energized to tell young people the gospel. They are constantly talking about new ways of reaching more young people. We've become such an excitable Duracell bunny ministry. In fact, I work with pastors and missionaries. My last degree was in mission, not youth work. And I love, everyone's passionate about the gospel, but no one quite like youth workers talks with the same level of drive and imperative excitement as youth workers do about sharing the gospel. I think we've gained that and we do not want to lose it. Something we've lost. I think one of the things we've lost is this concept of growth pathways. Most of youth work resources, especially for the last 15, 20 years, tend to follow half-term patterns, so they tend to last no longer than 3 months. But a young person doesn't mature in 3 months. If you keep doing the same level of maturity but different topic every 3 months, young people aren't going to grow. They'll grow in breadth of knowledge but not in depth of wisdom and maturity. And so I want to talk about how do we move young people from age 0 right through to adulthood? How does children's work pass on young people to youth work, to adult work, student work, and have taken with them a set level of maturity? So how do we grow young people through their life, not just in 3-month increments? I think that's something we've lost.
Somebody's asked here, how is COVID-19 going to impact youth and ministry?
Oh, it's Sally. Hi, Sally. Hi, Sally. Sorry. How's COVID-19 going to impact youth ministry? Well, it already is, obviously. Youth work has jumped incredibly quickly on the digital arena, and we should have done. Frankly, we should have been getting going a while ago, but we're equipped for this. So I love how youth work is already starting to spread into the digital world. Do you know, a couple of days ago, I interviewed a friend called Johnny Price, who works for Church Army, and I asked him about this. And he talked about generational gaps and generational catalyst moments where something happens and the whole generation just changes very quickly. I think COVID is one of those things. I think one of the things I think it's impacting us at the moment is in terms of social distancing is mental health. We need to think about now, how do we engage with young people's mental health at a level of isolation? We've always done that a little bit, but we've always had a community where we can be present to them in their space. How do we actually be present to a young person in this space? I think what we'll find is over the next few months, young people are going to be looking back at this time and going, well, what happened to my education? What happened to my social impact? What happened to my friendship circles? What happened to all the things that make my life normal and structured? And that is going to change how they enter the world of work. That's very vague, because I think I'd love to think more about that. But at very, very least, I think we need to think about how do we work with young people's mental health at this time and help them feel connected with people when inevitably they just feel locked in a room. That's a long answer that wasn't very specific. I don't want to think more about it, but also I don't want to give away too much that Johnny said, which will be an interview that's up in a couple of days.
Okay. You've just been asked, why should folks write with Grove?
Do you know what? I had a brilliant experience writing with Grove. I want to do a big shout out to Sally, because Sally edited this and she was fantastic through and through. Suzanne also at Grove has been really, really helpful, answering emails promptly, helping me understand what to do. Grove is a very easy group to write for. They're very patient with you. They've got brilliant writers working with them. And so they walk you through the process. What I love about them is you don't need a finished article to write for Grove. You don't need to say, okay, I've got this proposal and it's all perfect and ready. Let's see if you can sell it. Grove just want a kernel of an idea that they can help you shape. And they did that with me, and it's been really, really helpful. And Grove moved the conversation forward. Because these are published every few months, there's constantly another piece to the conversation, and you can be part of that movement. So I would really encourage you.
You've got a second part of that. Please tell folks about how the Grove Youth Series editorial group works, who your favourite member of the group is. That's from not Paul. What does that mean?
So tell folks about, so if you want to write for Grove, you would wing an email to the Grove board, and it would be sent around people like Sally and Lauren from Youth for Christ and myself. I'm on the board as well, which is, I guess, it's a bit of a cheeky thing to plug that, but I am. Liz from Transforming Church in Birmingham Diocese, and it's a great group of people. And the way it works is we all read the proposals together, and then we talk about it, and you're assigned someone to work with you. And that one person, Colin, of course, from Moorlands, I keep trying to think of people off the top of my head, but that one person will just walk with you throughout the entire process and help you through various rewrites and things, get the thing tight together. And it is awesome.
Cool. Got another question. In moving forward, does there need to be a bigger push towards reaching young people from non-Christian backgrounds?
That's brilliant. Does need to be a bigger push to reaching the people from non-Christian backgrounds? Yes. This is absolutely why I work for Youth for Christ. Youth for Christ is all about seeing young people's lives changed by Jesus who wouldn't have known him otherwise. Discipleship within churches is essential to see the health of the young people in churches thrive, but that on its own doesn't work. The Great Commission said, go out and make disciples of all nations and every single people group, and that includes young people too. Yes, we need a much bigger push to evangelize and reach young people outside the church networks. Thank you. Great question.
How does youth ministry grow in churches with no history of youth work?
Great. How does youth ministry grow in churches with no history of youth work? Oh, that's brilliant. I would say you start small. I often tell the story that if a youth evangelist spoke to rooms of thousands of people for 50 years, and in 50 years saw 50 people saved every year as a result of those big talks and those big youth ministry projects, you'd see 1,500 people saved. And that'd be amazing. It's the size of a school. But if instead that youth worker spent all their time with 3 young people every 2 years and then taught them to do the same, 2 things would happen. The first thing that would happen is you get fired, because 3 young people is a rubbish youth group. But the second thing that would happen is you'd save the entire world in about 15 years. You don't need a history of massive youth ministry projects. You need to start with a few young people that you're connected with. If you've got a church, there's people that are connected to you, whether that's nieces or sons and daughters, a local school. There's always a way of making a first step. A bigger conversation is how to make that first step. But I'd say doing less well is much more important than having lots of projects that thrive. That's a great question. Thank you.
Should we give a book away?
Oh, yes. We are going to give copies away. And we said the first one would go to the first person who commented. So, Katie, who was the first person who commented?
Dan Holland.
Dan Holland. Dan, you are getting a free copy of this, which is spiffing. So I'm going to write Dan's name in it. Dan, if you can PM me your address, I will somehow, in a safe and legal way, get this in the post to you. So I'm going to write this to Dan. You legend. So I will send this to Dan.
Woo, beautiful.
Yep. First one's going to Dan.
Cool. Alright.
Should we give another one away? I like giving things away.
Sure.
How do we do this?
There's a few options. How about that one or that one?
Ooh. So we've got ideas of doing it. We're really well prepared, as you can tell. Okay, we'll do it this way. How many fingers am I holding up? I'm not sure if anyone's actually watching anymore. I can't tell.
They could be gone.
Someone comment, how many fingers am I holding up?
I'm gonna say no. I'm not allowed to. Am I?
Well, no one's commenting, so
That's it.
we will do that later.
Later. All right.
Ask me another question. That was embarrassing.
Another question. Bummer. Kidoki. So.
Oh, there they are. They came in late.
Woohoo! All right.
Hang on.
What was it? Oh, you're not allowed to say it. Wait, people are still guessing.
People are still guessing.
This
Maybe the
okay.
message is coming in late.
Yeah, it might be a little bit.
Barry's got it. It was free. It was free.
Okay. All right.
So
cool.
Barry. Oh wait, that one's Dan's. Barry, you are winning the next one of these because that's how lovely I am. So again, Barry, do PM me your address, and I will send you probably this in the mail. Cool. Awesome. Do you want to ask me another question?
Yes. You have been asked, what mystical way do you think will become a new fundamental of youth work delivery after lockdown?
Oh.
That's a tough question.
That's a great and scary question. What mystical way do you think will become a new fundamental? I imagine, it's the obvious one, but I imagine Zoom is now here to stay. We've been doing things like Instagram Live and Facebook Live for a while, and YouTube, of course, but I absolutely love how Zoom provides a whole new environment for us to engage with young people. It's not a substitute for a small group. It's not a substitute. It's a completely new way of doing a small group. People can interact with you in things like eye contact is always there. They can see themselves, which changes how they express themselves. Being able to mute people and move people, breakout rooms. I'd be very surprised. I think for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue doing my small groups, but Zoom will become an extra. It will become, if you want more depth and more meat, log on in half an hour after you get home and we'll have a Zoom meeting. Because I imagine it's such an obvious practical response. It's not so much mystical. But I think the youth video conferencing is fantastic.
Cool. We had a close second there. All right, let's see.
Oh,
hi.
Hello.
How are
This
you?
is a cat.
This is our cat.
Hi, Luna.
She's walking behind us. Whatever. Okay. Well, she's there.
So comments are a little behind. So Kate's gonna ask me another question.
Yeah. All right. Cool. In what ways does this relate to Rebooted, and in what ways is it different?
Ooh, what is this
book you
relate to
wrote.
Rebooted?
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite. This is such a cheeky. You're gonna knock that book off, aren't you? You're being very good.
Probably.
Do you know what?
She actually is.
It's a great chance for me to plug that. Cheeky plug. I wrote this book a little while ago, last year, 2 years ago, Rebooted, and it's all about how do you gain a biblical basis for youth work? How do we take what the Bible says for youth work? See you, Luna. And craft a new youth work out of that. And this is very much linked to this history of youth work that I'm writing about, because I think one of the things we've lost over the last 30 years particularly is a real theological undergirding for the work that we do. I think if you were to pull on the thread of a lot of youth ministries, I'm not sure if you'd find the Bible at the end of it or throughout it. I think we often sprinkle the Bible in afterwards, and rather than really grounding our work on the Bible. So it's related in that sense. I think one of the things we've lost is a theological basis, and if you want to know more about that, read my book.
You've been asked if you were a kitchen utensil, what would you be and why?
I'd be a wooden spoon.
Why?
I'm not sure. It just felt right. It's the most ginger of the kitchen utensils is the wooden spoon.
Okay.
There's something innately ginger about it. I'd be a wooden spoon.
You wouldn't be what's the Cars guy flipper that we
Oh, we do have a spatula that is the face of Mater from Cars.
Yeah.
No, that creeps me out.
Oh, I'm surprised.
It creeps me out.
Okay. How do we encourage female youth work within churches that may not agree with this particular practice, or how do we find a way of working around it?
No, thank you. That's a great question. I personally, my theology, I believe that women can be pastors and should be pastors. I know not everyone agrees with that, but surely we can all get together that women have an imperative to teach the gospel the same as we do. It says in the Bible that all of us are called to preach. Whether or not you believe that means running a church or not, but are called to preach the gospel, and women have such a needed voice in our youth ministry. A lot of this comes from the level of our own under the cover prejudices. Even if we think we're open, when we hire for a youth worker role, we often have a man in mind, and we just need to deal with that prejudice. Women have so much to add to our youth work. That said, I think it is actually a 50-50 split in youth work training right now. I think a lot of youth workers in training, I think it really is 50-50 male and female. I think youth work is one of the better places in church ministry for female representation, but we can do better and we should do better.
Okay. How about, what's that other book that you
Oh,
wanted to...
I will do another plug.
Yeah.
This has just come out. This is Rachel Turner. If you don't know Rachel Turner, she's brilliant. Both Rachel and Andy wrote sidebars in my book, Rebooted. Parenting as a church leader. Anything you can read by Rachel is well worth it. She loves her Bible. She loves the Holy Spirit. She loves kids, and she loves working with parents. And these are all things that need to work together. And if you're a church leader with kids, this is essential reading. I really want to recommend this to you. Parenting as a church leader, Rachel Turner.
Woo, cool.
Fabulous.
What are your cool, weird lockdown habits, if you have any that are cool or weird or both?
Yeah, do send us a comment. If you've got a weird, quirky lockdown habit, do comment. If you've got a really good one, we'll send you a book.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a couple of mine. I've stopped shaving, and I'm not very beardy anyway. This is years of hard effort. I sit on the edge of my bed and I squeeze my face very, very hard, and this is what happens. So I've stopped shaving to see what happens. And I've got a cardboard pelican that I keep hiding in various places around the house, and it freaks Kate out.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
He's weird.
It was a weird lockdown. You have a weird lockdown habit?
From a cereal box, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. It's from an Asda Rice Krispie box.
I can't think of one. I don't know. Do I have a weird lockdown habit? Please don't be too embarrassing.
What I can think of is pretty embarrassing. So, no, Katie doesn't have. Katie is an absolute normal person in every way.
What? That's hilarious. That's probably the funniest thing I've heard all day.
I'm going to ask Katie a question, if that's all right.
Okay.
Kate, you've lived with me now through writing 2 of these.
Yeah.
You've edited all of the things I've ever written, really, and spent hours with it. How do you survive? What's just because there's people who, there's 1 or 2 in the comments where there's people I know who are married to people who write books. What's some of the things you can do to, I don't know, what's it like being married to someone who gets so sucked into something like this? And I'm not really sure what I'm asking. There's a bit of a journey thing here. How do you stay healthy at this time?
My favorite thing to do when you're intensely writing something is you tend to go and write before you eat, and then you never eat. So I quite like making you yummy breakfast and bringing them to you while you're writing, because otherwise you would starve. So yeah, it gives me a good opportunity to make some yummy omelets, and then I get to eat them too, and that's good. I don't know. I think it's mostly the same, except when I get co-opted into things like this, which I would never do on my own. I'm not like a face person. But here I am, because I actually think this stuff is really good. I think it will help people. So.
Thank you, babe. Oh, isn't she lovely? And she does. I mean, I'm absolutely terrible at eating when I'm writing. I get so sucked in, and I wake up, and I usually sit in my pajamas at my computer and just hammer away or talk to myself. And Kate appears with eggs, and she's such an angel. And Kate actually is an incredible editor, and so it helps me put this stuff into a readable format. Because if you read it without Kate's hand on it, hello.
Yeah, it works. What are you doing? Don't press things on this computer. Oh, what's it doing? It's looking things up on the dictionary.
There we go.
Okay, all right.
The cat just opened the dictionary.
We've got a question. How do we reach out to young people in rural areas, especially when they don't have as good access to a church or youth group compared to a young person in a city?
Yeah, Kezia, thank you very much. I would love to link you to a couple of good youth workers who are in rural areas. If you're really interested in this, actually, send me a message and I'll connect you up with a couple of people I know doing this really, really well. What I will say is any kind of village mentality is you start with the families. If you can connect well with families, you'll connect well with their young people, and especially if you make a habit of doing that over 10 years or so. I'd say a lot of it, again, is doing less well, being satisfied with 3 or 4 young people in a room and really committing to those young people. But also connect to what they're connecting with. What I love about, especially rural areas here in Wales, is Young Farmers Convention does a lot of work. There is all kinds of rural activities that we can be chaplains in, we can do support work in. And so look for innovative ways of partnering groups that are already doing good work. That's a great question. Thank you very much. And actually, Kezia, because you've actually asked like 3 really good questions, I'm going to send Kezia a book. That sounds like a nice thing to do, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Oh.
So, Kezia, you're getting a book.
Marie says she has time to shave more.
Marie has time to shave more. There's an obvious question I'm going to ask there, but I'm not going to ask it. God bless you, Marie. Cool. I'm writing this to Kezia. So again, please do PM me your address and I'll get this to you somehow.
Oh, I know what my cool lockdown habit is. Going out in the sun every day. It's been sunny, like every day.
It has been lovely, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Kezia,
I
with you.
find that quite cool. Woohoo, Kezia.
It is nice. We've been in the garden a lot, and someone who lived here before knocked down a garage and buried it under the yard. So all my spare time, I'm out there right now digging up.
Yes.
You're welcome, Kezia.
Cool. So how long was the process writing start to finish?
How long was the, as the Americans said, process? What's a process?
Process?
A process. Sorry.
The process.
We've been married 12 years and I still can't get over my wife's accent. The process from start to finish, it took about, I'd say, 2.5 months to put all this together and write it. And it doesn't need to take that long. This already existed for me. I've written about history of youth work before in various formats, and I've also lectured on it at a couple of places. So it's already kind of existed in the ethera, and it was really just putting it together. I think usually you can get through a Grove process from dropping off the proposal, getting assigned a member of the editorial board, and then start to write it. You can do it in a few weeks. If you're a diligent writer, it's only 9,500 words after all. 5 chapters. You know, as long as you've done your planning well, you can write it pretty quickly. Nothing like my book, which I rebooted, took me a year to write, and I actually wrote most of this in a week. I probably shouldn't say that online. It was it was well prepped, and it really represented 15 years of experience. So I had it all floating around there, but I just wasn't getting it out. So I took a week off, and I went to Cliff College for a week. And for 10 hours a day, I just hammered it out. I wrote like 5 chapters that week. So
yeah.
Process is different for all of us. Hi, Mike.
Cool. You ready? What is the best question that's been asked, do you think?
Oh, what's the best question?
Or should we wait for that at the end?
Yeah, let's do that one at the end. There might be better questions. There have been great questions.
Best question asked, we'll get a copy.
The question that tickled me most, we'll get another copy.
Okay, then. We're still waiting for lockdown habits.
That's all right, we'll ask another question.
Ask another question.
Gives me a chance to waffle a bit more.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that I asked them all. We could ask them again. That would be boring.
Well, yeah, I guess what I do want to say is this is not a last word on this. It's designed to start a conversation. Any Grove booklet is not designed to be a last word. It's meant to be a first word. It's meant to help us get the conversation going. There's plenty of people smarter than me. Lots of people have written about the history of youth work. I've got a couple of examples. Pete Ward wrote this quite a while ago now, from a UK perspective, growing up evangelical, really helpful. And from an American perspective, Mark Center's When God Shows Up is a fascinating read for the history of Protestant youth work in the States. And you do kind of have to understand the American youth work scene to understand the British youth work scene, because so much of it, especially since the 1950s, was exported over here. So much of our youth work models follow a music and worship model that was started really in the States. And so it's important to get both down. Yes, it is important to learn more about it. It's a first piece of the conversation, not an end word. Helpful? Yeah. Lovely. I'll give it a couple minutes, see if else got any more questions, and then we will probably call it a day.
Okay. I can't believe nobody has more weird lockdown habits. Cool or weird lockdown habits.
I think no one's willing to admit their quirky lockdown habits.
That's probably true, but that's why it wins you a book.
Indeed. You could start a lockdown habit now in order to win you a book.
I feel like Marie's made hers up.
Yeah, I think Marie has made hers up.
That doesn't seem possible. Okay. What's your favourite thing about this book?
My favourite thing about the book?
Yeah.
That it's done. No, it's always a wonderful experience when you have something in your hand that you've finished and you've worked really hard at. But I think my favourite thing about it is it's actually helped me think more about what we've gained and what we've lost. I've made plenty of silly mistakes in my personal youth work history, and this helped me just bring together, because a lot of this stuff for me existed in very, very, very long lectures, and this helped me galvanise and really draw out the things that I think are most essential, and it really has helped me. And a lot of things it's helped me do is slow down. I think one of the things I've taken away from this whole process is just to do less well, not do less well. I think good youth ministry is not filling up our timetable with projects. It's putting a couple of projects in the week that are very, very well executed and really giving them the time they deserve. And so I think when we come back off lockdown, I'm going to be thinking about how can I dial down the number of projects I do and do the ones I do even better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. What's your definition of pioneer youth work?
Oh, that's someone who knows me. Is that Mike?
Yeah.
I'm hoping to write another book called Pioneering Youth Ministry. Pioneer, first and foremost, they go where no one has gone before. Dun, dun, dun. Pioneer Youth Ministry is youth ministry that is truly innovative, not imitational. Often what we do is we see something really cool and innovative, and then we imitate it. That's not pioneering, that's imitation. And so a pioneering youth project starts with the world it's in, the community, the culture, and draws out the needs, the values, the aims, and the objectives, and crafts something absolutely new and unique for those people. That's pioneering. And that means it's always missional, it's never maintenance. It's never saying, let's try and keep this thing going. It's saying, how do we keep the gospel going? So it might change shape every 10 minutes, that's fine. Yeah. Thank you. I could talk all day about pioneering youth ministry. Imitation is bad, innovation is good, maintenance is bad, mission is good. I can keep going. I won't.
Okay, all right. I like it. Is there a necessity of doing youth work within genders, or is it better to work as an equal group of young people? Like, is there advantages to young women learning from female youth workers and the same for young men?
Great question. I think it's a both and I think it really does depend on the flavour and maturity of the relationship you have with your group. I think a youth group relationship, to cultivate a healthy community, takes a couple of years, and I'd be very, very careful making too many strict decisions about how best to teach them before you've got that kind of relationship with them. I love men teaching boys and women teaching girls. I think there's lots of things that come out in those conversations that might not happen usually. I think questions about gender fluidity do come into that as well, though. I like the mechanism, but I wouldn't do that as a main way of teaching. I think as an occasional way of teaching, it's very, very helpful. But usually for me, I want to get them all in the same room. Frankly, it's not just genders for me, it's life experience. I break a few rules with youth groups in that I have a youth group that meets from about age 9 to 11 right through to about age 21. I want the older people mentoring and teaching the younger people. I think we need to mix more rather than segregate more.
How does that work if you've got people like underage people and older and younger?
Yeah, I mean, it comes to just good safeguarding. I mean, as long as you've made sure your policies are all in place and that everyone knows who should be in the room when and what the boundaries are, it can work.
Okay.
In church itself works that way, so it makes sense that we can.
Okay. What are the most important things to look for in theological education for youth ministers?
Oh, you hit the magic word for me. That's Robin. Hi, Robin. You hit the magic word for me, which is theology. I think an awful lot of youth ministry training across the UK is primarily focused on reflective practice, and I think that is really important, and practice is really important, but a theological basis is something you can't just wedge in later. So for me, it's the same as teaching a pastor. I want people to know how to use the Bible. I'd rather teach them the mechanisms of exegesis and teach them exactly what the Bible itself says. But off the back of that, teaching the gospel, Jesus Christ came, lived, died, rose, ascended, is coming back. What is the gospel itself? If you don't know the gospel, everything else is a little bit mute. And then, so how do you use your Bible? Know the gospel. And then off the back of that, essential doctrines like the Trinity, the Incarnation. I think these are really important for youth ministers to know. I know it's a really basic answer, but I think if your youth ministry has a heartbeat, which is the gospel, and that theology comes through all that you do, it will make an enormous impact on the maturity of young people in your group. Yeah, that's pretty broad. I could give a longer list, but I think that's I'll roll with that.
Right.
Know how to use your Bible, know the gospel.
Cool. What are the differences between youth ministry and youth work?
Well, that's a good question. Differences between youth ministry and youth work. I think this is just my opinion. I think you can do youth work without doing youth ministry. You probably can't do it the other way around. I think youth work is more activity-based and project-based. It's doing the things. And when you draw all the helpful parts of that together, it becomes youth ministry. Ministry is when you are ministering to. So you can do youth work in that you can run a youth project, but if it's not discipling young people, giving them a chance to hear the gospel, connecting them with a church, it's not really ministry. I think you can do lots of youth work things, and when they work together, it becomes healthy youth ministry. That make sense? Kate thinks it makes sense. Cool.
Okay, so what now?
Fab. Another couple of minutes. Oh, there's a book here. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I'm going to write this to Mike, because Mike, you've asked some great questions, but also you asked me about pioneering youth ministry, which again, I could talk about all day long. And so thank you for that. So Mike, I'm going to send this to you. So Mike, do PM me your address. I will send you a copy.
Sweet.
By the way, I'm writing Philippians 1:21 inside all of these because that is my absolute favourite verse in the Bible. It means to live is Christ and to die is gain. Great passage to live by.
Why is it your favourite verse?
It's my favourite verse because it just puts my whole world into perspective. The reason I live, the reason I grow and have my being and thrive is to bring people into relationship with Jesus and to know him better. If I'm not doing that, then what am I doing?
Cool.
Phil 1:21 reminds me of that.
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances. Lovely. I think rather than over-egg the pud, it's been wonderful to be here with you folks. I want to say thank you so much for engaging, for interacting. If you'd like a copy of Does Youth Ministry Have a Future, you can get it straight from the Grove series webpage. It is on Amazon randomly. In fact, I think there's used ones on Amazon already. Don't get them from there. Get them from Grove. You're welcome, Mike.
How much are they?
They're $3.95 or $65. They're £3 something.
95, I think.
Kate thinks
It's on
95.
the back.
$3.95. It's on the
Yeah,
back.
okay.
But even
Pretty
better, I probably shouldn't say this because it probably means I get less out of it, but I think this is the right thing to do. It's better to get a subscription. A subscription costs £11 a year and you get 4 copies. £11 a year. Why would you not do that?
4 copies of the same book?
No, one of each book throughout the year. So
Oh,
I'd recommend go to your church, people who are, if you're a youth worker, people who are employing you, and say, look, put 11 quid in the budget and let me get 4 of these a year. It will genuinely help you.
Cool.
So thank you all very, very much. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. God bless and have a brilliant lockdown evening. Thank you, folks.
Cheers. See
Bye-bye.
ya.
Remember, those people who won books, do PM me your
Oh,
address.
yeah.
Bye, Kate.
Bye. I'll see you in a minute.
I don't know how to end this. Do you know
I
how to
don't
end this?
either.
Oh, hit the end button.
Yeah, there's a big red
Thanks,
thing.
folks.
Bye. Take care.